Single millennial women. They're chasing their careers. Many of them are probably doing it due to social pressures. Many of them are doing it because they really want to do it. And for that, I nothing but respect. Of the women who are not being honest with themselves and are more concerned about social pressures than what they truly would want, maybe a family, I don't think they'll admit it. They'll be 40 and they'll say, nope, life's great. I've never been happier. Young women will see it. They'll be 45. I love my life. I'm single and I'm living it up in the big city. They're gonna be 55. And they're gonna say, you know, well, it has its charm. They're gonna be 60 and they're gonna go to the young people and say, I've made a terrible mistake, don't make the same mistake I did.
Yep.
But by that point, there's gonna be a generation or two that believed the lies.
Now, contrary to what Tim Pool says, there is immense social pressure for women to get married and have children. And also contrary to what Tim Pool says, the women who have decided to forego marriage and children are actually doing real well. And that's not according to me, that's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, which recently put out a study about the financial health of women who have decided, don't wanna get married and definitely don't wanna have kids. Here's what they found. Single women without kids had an average of $65,000 in wealth in 2019, compared with $57,000 for single child-free men. For single mothers, that figure was only $7,000. And it's understandable why that would be the case in a country that provides absolutely no support for individuals who might want to start a family. Because having children in a country with diminishing social safety nets is very expensive. And the cost of childcare is definitely right up there in what is causing families to have an unstable financial situation. Now, as we've talked about before, less people have interest in starting a family altogether. A Pew Research Center study last year found that 44% of Americans ages 18 to 49 who don't have kids say it's not too likely or not likely at all that they will procreate someday, an increase of 7 percentage points from 2018. Also, if you take a look at where we were in 1990 versus today, you can see how stark the numbers are. In 1990, there were about 71 births per year for every 1,000 women ages 15 to 44. By 2019, that had dropped closer to 58 births, according to Census Bureau analysis. At the same time, the share of women ages 25 to 34 who don't have kids reached a record in 2018, the most recent available data going back to 1976. So it is kind of interesting to see Tim Pool and his gaggle of people like make these arguments that like, oh, you're gonna be so miserable if you're in your mid-30s and you haven't started a family yet. But the data proves otherwise.
One of our members wrote in, Louis B, Tim Pool, that's why all these women aren't dating me. That's gotta be it. Is it?
I mean, it is crazy. I mean, he puts out all that jazzy music that all the ladies are usually clamoring over.
And the beanie, they go nuts for that. All right, anyway, tyt.com/join, become a member, do the show with us. All right, listen, I got a bunch of questions for these guys, but here's my main question. They say, oh, these women, they're gonna regret it. They're gonna get into their 60s and they're gonna be miserable, but it's already too late. They already lied to the young woman. How do you know? How do you know that they're gonna be miserable? They're not gonna be miserable? You don't know them at all. That doesn't make any, what do you base that on? You base it on your goddamn opinion, not theirs. What, I mean, how do they not see their enormous bias and the fact that they're literally mansplaining? Now, let me tell women what women think, okay?
Right.
They think this, and I know it.
Well, I mean, that is a fair question. And Tim Pool delivers. So in the next video, he'll explain exactly where he got his expert analysis and data from. Let's watch.
We're citing Jordan Peterson so often in this,
yes.
But he was saying something that after 35, you better have a family because that's when things start to break down. That's what the conversation, were you were for that, right? Or no?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
When what things start to break down?
When you start to, you're gonna be lonely, you're gonna have no friends. Like if you don't start a family around 35, you're gonna be left out.
This is colloquially called the wall. And I'm sure you've heard of it if you've been a denizen of the internet for any length of time. All women supposedly hit a wall when they're about 35. And if you don't have a family, you are gonna be lonely. And you're gonna have a problem. You're not gonna be able to find a good date. It doesn't matter how much money you make because that's not what men look for in a spouse.
I do think that there are exceptions to that.
So citing Jordan Peterson, I mean, obviously the correct arbiter of happiness especially as someone who can't stop himself from crying in like almost every video he puts out on the internet.
See, women, once they get past 35, they're all miserable. Wait a minute, it looks like you're miserable, dude. Okay, so now here's my other question then. Why do you guys care? Like, let's assume for a second that you're right, which is a preposterous assumption. And women are happy in the beginning, but then they're not as happy later, etc. Like, what business is it of yours? Why are you interfering in their lives and going, hey, Susan, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm gonna judge you. I'm judging you right now. You're gonna be miserable later. Why do you care? They're constantly in other people's business, right? And then they ironically say, oh, the liberals are gonna make you drink Starbucks coffee every day. Because their idiot minds project and think, we wanna control every part of their lives, so they must wanna control every part of our lives. No, Tim Pool, Jordan Peterson, all of you idiots, you make insanely bad decisions all the time for yourself. I don't care. Go cry on air, go do weirdo things, I don't care. I'm gonna defeat your ideas, I care about that. I don't want anybody who's gullible and low IQ to accidentally think you're right. But in terms of what you do with your personal life, it's impossible for me to care less.
Yeah, let me jump in real quick because it's really important for people to understand that there is no new era of conservative ideology, okay? It's always the same thing, repackaged and sold to the American people as if it's like a new shiny thing. It's the same social conservatism that we've been dealing with for decades and decades in this country, right? And so, yeah, it is none of their business, right? If you want to get married, great. You don't want to get married, don't get married. What business is it of ours? But the context of the discussion they were having there was how the no cause divorces, I think that's what it's called, where there's no specific reason. You just kind of grew apart and you want a divorce. They think that that is one of the worst things that's happened in this country because it's made divorce too easy, of course.
Why do you
Who
care?
cares? Yeah, exactly.
Why? Okay, oh no, you have to prove to me that your marriage really sucked. Otherwise, I'm not gonna let you out of it. Why? What
They
business
want
is it
the
of yours?
state
Do
to
we all-
force you into a marriage you don't want to be in.
You want tyrannical government,
Yeah.
big government, to say, okay, now government's saying, tell me why you guys are getting divorced. I don't want you to have your goddamn freedom. I want you to be miserable together for the rest of your lives. We gotta make white babies. Oh, that's what this is about.
Well,
okay, because they're panicked. Oh my God, women aren't getting married and they're not baby machines that they used to be. We're not gonna have enough white babies. Oh my God, the replacement theory.
Yeah.
Well, they're not here for your goddamn pleasure, okay? They have their own lives and they like to lead their own lives and not be dictated by a bunch of jack-off men who are going around going, here's what I think you should do. Here's how you really feel. And here's what I'm gonna make the government do because I care about you and I don't want you to be lonely. Oh yeah,
well,
sure.
I mean, and it is interesting that their brain immediately goes to making it incredibly difficult for people to get divorced, when in reality, maybe they should consider pressuring the government to make the environment a lot more welcoming for people who do want to get married and who do want to have families. And I'm not just talking about tax breaks, okay? That's pretty much all our government does at this point. You get a tax break if you have kids. But
so congratulations, if you're a millionaire who's having kids, you're gonna save a lot of money on taxes, but you don't need the goddamn money.
Right, well, here's the thing though, ordinary people absolutely do. And they need more than just tax breaks. They need help with things like, childcare. For instance, the expenses in bringing up a child born in 2015, and of course this number has already gone up considerably, through age 17 will run an estimated $310,605 according to the Brookings Institution, which adapted a government calculation to adjust for inflation trends, adding about another $26,000. The projection doesn't even include the cost of a college education. Okay, so it's obviously very expensive. Literally hundreds of thousands of women permanently left the job force during the pandemic because of how unaffordable childcare is. So it is right now with how our economy is, how wages have been stagnant since the 1970s. It is impossible to live in a household that relies on one income. And if you have kids, you definitely need a dual income household. And so I'm curious how they want this all to work out, right? They want women to stay home. At the same time, It's incredibly expensive to raise children in this country. They want to offer zero support in that regard.
No child tax credit, no paid family leave, no nothing once the baby's born, right? And they're like, now women, make more babies. We're not gonna pay for a goddamn thing, but make more babies. Hey, by the way, how come your standards don't apply to men? How come we don't have nonstop conversations about men need to get married, men need to shut up and make babies and know their goddamn role? How come we never have that conversation? Why is it always men will be miserable if they don't make babies and if they don't take care of them? How come that conversation never happens? And by the way, look at how insulting every part of this conversation is. Women, if they don't have babies later, they're gonna feel so lonely. There's gonna be no one to take care of them. Why? Why can't they have other family and friends who take care of them? Well, I mean, there's a million ways to take care of yourself.
No, but you should have children. You should have children just so they can take care of you in your old age, because that's not selfish and terrible to do, right?
It's like the world's worst reason, and people say it all the time.
They do, like it's normal.
Sense.
Like, yeah, I had kids because I want someone to take care of me when I'm elderly. Oh, okay, great. You're bringing a person into this world,
by the way,
for an incredibly selfish reason.
By the way, save the $300,000, spend it on nurses later. Problem solved. Okay, but look, the first stat that Anna read you is devastating for the right wing in this country. And not just politically, like culturally. Because look at what she explained. If you're a single mother, then your wealth is only $7,000. You're devastated. It's really hard to take care of the kid, right? And so right wing loves that, because they say, see, you better not be a single mother. You better get married. We're gonna force you to get married, okay? But wait a minute, it turns out if you're a single woman who doesn't have a kid, you make more than men. Your wealth is $65,000. The single men's wealth is only $57,000. So you don't need the men at all. Oh, they hate that. They're like, wait, they don't need us? How are we gonna control them? Oh, that's right, you can't. Hashtag suck it.
Yes,
okay?
Yes, Cenk.
So, look, by the way, every part of this, put aside the politics, every part of this, these stereotypes, these mythology is horse crap, okay? I know couples who are married, never had kids, they have the time of their lives. They go traveling all the time. They're not at all miserable. They're not going, oh, who's gonna take care of us? They're having a great time. By the way, I know couples like me who had kids, and I love my kids. I'm thrilled that I had kids, because that's my personal decision. And my friend made a different personal decision, and he loves it, his wife loves it. My hairdresser this weekend, never had kids. And by the way, some people, including some of our members, some of them can't have kids. And now they're getting yelled at by these monsters,
yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
But my hairdresser decided not to have kids with her husband. She's going on travel trips and rallies and having the adventures she had, I couldn't fit into a lifetime, right? Oh, she sounds miserable without having my babies. Does she? She sounds like she's really happy.
She's gonna hit a wall.
Yeah. You guys hit the wall, and that's why you go around yelling at women to mate with you. Not the world's best strategy either. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.